Today's video is sponsored by the Coldest water. More on that in just a moment. Yo, what is going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new video, and also welcome to a brand new year. I realize I haven't posted the past couple of days because I haven't been feeling too well, but today is like one of the first days I feel well enough to actually be able to record something. So yeah, glad to be back and ready to start off the new year with some more content for you guys. And today's video is going to be a topic that I've been wanting to cover for a week or so now, but I just haven't been able to, and that is the upcoming Forbidden and Limited list. Really not going to do a prediction type video here. I think it'd be better suited if I called it sort of like a wish list or things that I want to see on the upcoming Forbidden and Limited list. I think that's a more accurate representation of what this video is going to be. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that in just a moment. And before we jump into my wish list, I want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, and that is the Coldest water. If you guys are interested in getting your hands on a very, very high quality insulated water bottle like the one you see here, then look no further than the Coldest water. Their bottles come in all sorts of different sizes, colors, and designs, and they can keep the water inside cold for up to 36 plus hours, or for all you hot beverage enjoyers, it can keep things hot for up to 12 plus hours as well. So if one of your New Year's resolutions was to stay hydrated, then getting your hands on a really high quality reusable water bottle is a great place to start. And again, look no further than the Coldest water. And if you guys want to support the channel by getting one of these bottles, please don't forget to use the affiliate link I have in the description. If you guys shop and check out using that link, a small bit of the revenue from your purchase will go back in the channel and helps out a ton. Or you could simply use my discount code WK at checkout to save 10% off your entire order and support the channel as well. And also, at the top of the description, there will be a giveaway link where they will be giving away a 1 gallon insulated reusable water bottle that I think retails for around $130. So if you want to enter to win one of those, click that link down in the description, and good luck to everybody that enters. And yeah, if you guys want to get your hands on a really nice water bottle like this one here, again, check them out at the link below. And thank you in advance to everybody that decides to support the channel by shopping on the Coldest. So yeah, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. Alright, so into the wish list here. We'll start with banned, then we'll go to limited, semi-limited, and unlimited. Spoiler alert, there's probably not going to be anything on the semi-limited list for me, unless I have something coming from limited and up, because I think using the semi-limited space as a little bit of a quarantine zone is a good idea most of the time, unless a card has had a errata put onto it that makes it a completely different card at the end of the day, but I digress. So there are a few cards I would probably like to see banned, and I think this is just for the overall health of the game. I've never thought it's good when there's cards that are very, very easily enabled in the current metagame that make the game very, very like one-sided and very, very trivial, where like if the card resolves, like the game is just over right then and there. And we're seeing that with things like Scythe. We're seeing that with things like the Featherstorm, because that is a very, 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 very powerful card that is used in the Tri-Brigade Leaderless deck. Although I don't think it's as big as an offender as something like Artifact Scythe is. I think Scythe is probably the biggest offender right now because how easily it is to splash in Dagda and the Artifact Scythe with it, especially with DPE. We've seen how well that works in like Phantom Knight decks and even like Invoked decks as well. Like it's just a really, really potent strategy. So I think personally it would be really nice to see a card like Artifact Scythe be banned. Featherstorm is a card that I don't think needs to be banned yet, although it is on like my radar as a card that maybe could be banned at some point. But the thing with like Featherstorm is it's tied completely to the relevancy of the Tri-Brigade Leaderless deck, or just like any sort of Wing Beast deck in general. Right, like a Harpy deck could be running the Featherstorm card, and not many people would care pretty much at all, because nobody plays Harpies. So at that point, it's not really a problem. But like, you know, Dagda, DPE, and Scythe are just so generic. Like extra deck locking your opponent in this modern day of Yu-Gi-Oh is so like crushing that it's pretty much always going to be a turn skip. And I'm not a fan of turn skip cards like Calamities. You guys know Calamities, I hated that card. Very, very happy to see it go. Very, very unhealthy card. Very, very abusable card. And that went, same thing with Azathoth and Zexal. And also another thing too, I brought this up to my friend the other week. I was like, it's crazy to me to think that Moral Attack was on the Forbidden and Limited list at one point, but Artifact Scythe has never touched it once. Yeah, right, Moral Attack, a non-targeting pop when it's summoned during the opponent's turn, but Scythe, extra deck locks the opponent, hasn't been hit once. I don't know, it seems a little suspect to me. So yeah, all things considered, banned. I'd definitely love to see Artifact Scythe up on that list, and let's go ahead and move on. So the next card I have on my wish list to be banned is none other than Imperial Order, everybody's favorite continuous trap card as of the past few months. This is a card I think most of us can agree that is extremely unfair, even with its errata that it has currently. Yeah, I mean, I've lost several games to Imperial Order, and I'm sure a lot of you guys watching have also lost a lot of games to Imperial Order. Like sometimes there's really just nothing you can do about it. Maybe you open up a hand that had, you know, a couple, 2, 3, or maybe you open a hand of all spells and you just lose on the spot because of it, because there's no play around to it at that point. Like, it is what it is. Like, it's just a card that can steal games. Now, I have seen people say that they don't think this card needs to go, and I can kind of see that side of the argument, but at the same time, it's a one of... I don't like when cards like this exist at 1, because, again, it's very, very sacky. It's just like, oh, does my opponent have the IO? Well, guess I lose, right? I don't like when it comes down to that. I'd rather like expect it than lose unexpectedly to it every, so many matches. It's, yeah. And a lot of decks are maining it, siding it, and also nothing screams fair and balanced like putting up a really big board like Tri-Brigade Lyrilusk and then flipping up IO in response to things like Droplet and Dark Ruler that would have outed the board otherwise. Or if you have a card like Triple Tactics Talent to try to make a comeback and get back into the game that you might be losing, and then have IO flipped on you. Or if you're playing a deck that plays a lot of spells, like Sky Striker, right? So that's just an example. You just also lose on the spot as well. I mean, it can be played around, of course, because there are other cards, other monster cards in the main deck or extra deck that can be made, such as Nightmare Phoenix, and a lot of examples, or Nightmare Unicorn that can out things like IO. But still, that doesn't really mean that it's okay where it is. Just because it can be outed doesn't mean it's, deserving to be legal still. So I think IO probably needs to go. Is it as high up on my priority ladder as something like Scythe? Probably not, but it's definitely a card that's very unfair, and I think I would love to see a ban on the next list. And it also would free up a spot in my side deck, so I'm also completely fine with that. And I wouldn't have to feel bad about not having it in my side deck, because I know everybody else is going to have it in their side deck or main deck, and if I don't have it in mine, then I'm probably, behind a little bit in terms of the power curve. So yeah, that's just my opinion. Moving on, I have Predaplant Verte Anaconda as well on here. This is a card that just gets better and better every, 6 to 12 months, it seems, because they want to print another really insane fusion monster with a fusion spell that Anaconda can abuse. I've seen a lot of people say, ban, Fusion Destiny, ban Red Eyes Fusion, ban Enforcer, ban Dragoon. I don't really think that's the answer to all of the fusion madness. I think a card like Anaconda, from just like a game design standpoint, is extremely unhealthy and limits game design as a whole. Because if you have to look at it from this standpoint, Konami really has to be careful at what kind of fusion support they print, because Anaconda will, drastically change how that fusion support is used versus its intended use, based, from the creators of the games themselves. So like, yeah, it inherently limits game design, and I don't think that's very, very fair and healthy for the game. And also every deck splashing in DPE and having access to things like Celestial and Dasher is just annoying and not very fun to play against, because it makes every deck kind of boil down, to the same thing. It kind of reminds me of Orko's format, where you had all these different decks that did all these different plays that ultimately led up to the same thing. Or like, if you're hand trapping a deck at the right points, then they can just be like, well, plan B, I get an Enforcer plus a draw 2 on the next turn. Like, I hate it. I'm sick. Like, this is very, very biased part here. I'm just like super sick of the Anaconda shenanigans. And I would be very, very happy that if nothing else on this list came true, that if just Anaconda got banned, I would be ecstatic. And then the last card here, because I felt as though, well, the second to last card here would be an appropriate hit because of how powerful the deck itself is, and that is Simorgh, the Bird of Sovereignty. I think when you look at the Tri-Brigade Lyrilust deck, I think one of the most broken parts about it is the Simorgh link, because it tutors out either a powerful Floodgate in the form of the Wind Barrier statue in the end phase, or it gets you an Omni Negate in the form of Apex Avian, and also grants targeting immunity to everything it points to, including the Ensemble Robin, the Avian, or the DDL. And that's like a good chunk of cards that, are just good on their own, that now also just can't be targeted. That is insane. We've seen time and time again in the past how powerful extra deck monsters are that special summon from the deck. Mirage Stalio. We also had Elpie. Simorgh is kind of up there. It's very, very powerful, and it's being abused in one of the best decks of the format right now. I don't think hitting Recital Starling is the way to go, just because, like, it's just a searcher, like, whatever. The deck already has so many ways to search as is. I think Simorgh is, if you had to hit one card, at least if I wanted to see one card go in that deck, it would definitely be that card. And lastly, on my wish list to be banned, I have the Arch Nemesis Protos, a card that we've seen the Sword Soul deck abuse a lot lately, mainly because it is searchable off of the Sword Soul Emergence, which is also, interestingly enough, searchable off of their main synchro boss monster, Chi-Jiao. So it's very, very consistent to set up. It's not like it's an inconsistent thing to see. It's very, very easy to meet the summoning requirements of the card. I've seen some people maybe argue for, like, limiting Emergence or banning Emergence, which is just like an unrealistic take. I don't think they're going to hit a deck that's as new as Sword Soul. I think they're going to want to push the deck as much as possible from a business standpoint, and that makes total sense. And I think hitting Protos is the proper thing to do, to make the deck a little bit more fair overall at the end of the day. Because, with the nature of Sword Soul, they have a very easy time at putting a wide array of different attributes on the field for them to be able to then Protos. So they can pretty much turn skip any deck that they want to. If, like, an analogy I could put together would be like, if, VW can't have Calamities anymore, and we saw how broken Calamities was, I don't really think there's any reason that Sword Soul should have a card like Protos, because that card is just insane. Especially ending on Chi-Jiao, Baron, and a Blackout, and then you also can't summon Dark, Winds, or Lights, like, or, Fire, or Water, or whatever attribute they happen to Protos, or Earth, right? It's just not fair whatsoever. So, yeah, just a quick recap. So I have Scythe, maybe Featherstorm, Io, Anaconda, Simorgh, and Protos, all cards that I wish to see banned on this upcoming FNL list. So let's move on to the limited section. So the first card I have here to be limited would actually be Harp Horror. This is a card that I think I've talked about on all my, like, predictions / wish list videos for, like, I don't know, for past year or so. Like, I think this card definitely should come back. I don't think Orcus would be too crazy if Harp Horror came back to 1. It's probably a deck that would abuse things like Anaconda, but, like, we're already seeing a wide range of rogue decks do that anyways, so it's just another deck that gets added to the pool that really doesn't do too much at the end of the day. So yeah, I mean, I don't really see it making a game-breaking impact, so that's why I think it's safe to bring this card back to 1 as it stands. Next up, Nadir Servant. Nadir Servant, the more I've played competitively, the more I realize how absolutely absurd this card is. I know it just got reprinted in the tins. That helps sell the tins, obviously. But like, Nadir Servant on paper is just such an insane card. It generates so much advantage and is one of the main reasons they can set up the window lock, as they're able to get Apkalone to the graveyard, which then gets them the Schism and then the Shadal in the grave, and they can get the dark target by other means, whether it be like a Celestial or Dasher, or a Alistair, right? They can get you know, the window set up very, very easily because of Nadir Servant. I don't think they'll hit Apkalone. I don't see them banning Apkalone. I do see, however, a very, very generic card like Nadir Servant being limited. Not even that, I just think it should be limited just to begin with. The card is insane. Like, the Invoke Shadal deck, and I've said this in other videos like this, like, it's just gone untouched for way too long. And now that DPE is here, the deck has just gotten so much better. Like, they were able to cut the Shadal bricks from the main deck and just like boil it down to Nadir Servant, dump Apkalone, add Schism, and then Anaconda for DPE instead of like trying to Shadal Fusion for something like Construct. Because why add those bricks to your deck when you don't need that many bricks? You can just play the DPE bricks and call it a day there, and still get your Schism set up too. And then Meltdown is another card I have limited, because again, like, the Invoke Shadal stuff has just gone untouched for way too long. Maybe I'm a little biased on that. Do I think Meltdown is as high up on the list of priorities as Nadir Servant? No. But I don't think it would be terrible if that card got hit. And then the last two cards I have are Chaos Space and Drytron Nova. I didn't really want to leave out Drytron or Dragons, and I think these are both really powerful spell cards that would reduce the overall consistency of those decks, and make them not as insane as they are. Because I was, you know, making this list, throwing it together, and I was like, man, if I make all these changes and I don't touch Drytron, I know people are going to be upset. And also, Drytron was just like still an insane deck. If it combos off uninterrupted, it's just an FTK. So had to show some respect for the Drytron deck. It is still a very, very powerful deck. Moving on to the unlimited, because I don't really think there's anything I could put to the semi-limited section. The last card is Terror Top to be unlimited with an errata, right? I know this is kind of a meme. This is not going to happen. But I would love to see Terror Top get unlimited with an errata, locking you into wind monsters. Because I think that's the only other way the Speedroid deck will ever be able to get back their best starter to 3, is if it is errated, because we see this card get abused when it was at 3 in the past, and we're still seeing it used in other non-Speedroid decks now. And also, I think we could see E-Telly come to 3 too. It got brought back to 2 in the previous list, I think, and I think we'll maybe see it make the progression towards 3 in this list, or either the following one. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. If I missed something, it's probably because I got a little bit of a brain fog going on, and still recovering from being sick. So yeah, I wanted to have a nice little low-key chat with you guys about some cards that I would like to see on the next FNL list. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If there's anything I should have included or maybe should not have included, again, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you to the Coldest for sponsoring this video. Don't forget to check them out at the link below. And yeah, as always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And last but not least, a special shout out goes to our Divine level channel members, and they are Tweeter0226, Pony Stark, and Cadillacs84. Thank you guys so much as always for your extremely generous support of this channel.